Hey guys, my name is Matthew, and you get to watch me do my very first book wrap-up today. Here we go. All right, so for January of 2021, I read 9 books. There's a good combination of older books and new release books in this setup, so we're just gonna jump right in. All right, first book on my list, and the first one that I kind of went through this month was a book called Brothers, We Are Not Professionals by John Piper. This book doesn't apply to a lot of people. I wouldn't recommend it for a ton of people, but if you're in the ministry, this book is wonderful. John Piper takes 36 kind of tips and kind of commands, actually, the things that he thinks that are biblically oriented to help pastors kind of stay focused on what's important and not go astray onto other things like being professionals. The goal is not that we be professional, but instead the goal is that we be pastors, and there's a difference. I really do recommend this book pretty highly for anyone who's in ministry. There's got a lot of really great centering tips in it. This book, In Love and Pajamas, is a Katana Comics book. It's really cute. It's a cute little comic book kind of a situation. If you like Katana Comics, this is a great book. It's perfect for the month of February as well because they are all kind of couples oriented. So it's a good book to kind of sit down and read with your significant other, if that's your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. They're really cute and they are really reminiscent of what actually happens in real life. I just love these cute little comics. And so this was a great read for January. Also, it's quick. It only takes about 30 minutes to an hour to really get through it. I also read The Pegan Diet this month. It's not coming out until February 23rd, I think. So be on the lookout for that when it comes out. But it was an excellent read. The Pegan Diet is kind of an interesting combination of paleo, like the best parts about the paleo diet, the best parts about veganism. He kind of puts them together in this diet that it sounds a little weird. Those two things don't really go together. Like, how do you combine paleo and vegan? But he takes the best parts of both. He sticks them together into one kind of mega diet. But really, it's a simple diet. The diet is mostly just avoid processed foods and eat whole foods. And he gives lots of really cool tips. There's actually some recipes in there as well. And just kind of talks through the health benefits of eating real food. It's a great book. If you're looking to improve your health, it can be a really great way to get started. I also read the book, How to Prepare for Climate Change by David Pogue. Now, I read through the whole book, but I actually don't recommend most people read through the entire book. I recommend most people read maybe the first 2 or 3 chapters, which kind of deal with a lot of the elements of climate change that apply to everyone. And then I would go through and pick out the chapters that are actually interesting or intriguing to you or apply to your certain context. He has all sorts of stuff, every practical way that you can actually prepare for what is coming with climate change. It's pretty cool. It's a great book, one that I think is really good as far as just being a guide to really help you in the practical matters of preparing for the future. And this isn't just climate change necessarily, but other emergencies as well. It really helps you to be able to plan for the future well in a very practical sense. This month, I also read through In the Grip of Grace, that's the one. In the Grip of Grace by Max Lucado. I always get the title just a little bit wrong. In the Grips of Grace. The title's here if I messed it up. Anyway, it's by Max Lucado. It's a great book. It runs through Romans, but Romans is kind of a tough book just because it's so long and it's kind of this thesis argument of what Christianity, it's like, I don't know. It's a tough book in a lot of ways. Max Lucado makes it very simple. And he really takes a lot of the elements of it and he boils them down to what their simplest form is. That way you can understand them. And in traditional Max Lucado kind of style or fashion, he does a great job of giving so many examples, so many metaphors, so many real life situations that help you to understand what it is that Paul is trying to say in Romans in a really great way. This is a great book. If you want to understand what's going on in Romans, this is a good book to read. It's not like a heavy theological book, but it's an easy to read kind of walkthrough of Romans. It's a great book to pick up. I read Keep Sharp by Sanjay Gupta. It was really great. This is a science heavy book. So if you like research, if you like science, if you're like, oh man, I want to learn more about my brain and what's going on with brain health, there's actually a lot of overlap in Sanjay Gupta's book, Keep Sharp, with the book I mentioned earlier, The Pegan Diet, just as far as they're actually recommending a lot of the same things in the diet world, which is really cool to kind of see that, like, hey, things that are good for your brain, they're also good in a diet. Like, The word avocado, I've read it probably 30 or 50 times this month because the overlap here is really good. Keep Sharp is an amazing book. I really, really recommend it. Lots of great tips in here, lots of great advice, really hopeful advice too for how to actually make sure that as you're aging, that you're treating your brain well. How do you do that? And some of it is diet, like I mentioned, but there are a lot of other things as well. I perused through this book. I didn't actually read all of it this month because I've read it before. It's called The First 2 Years of Youth Ministry by Doug Fields. This is an excellent book. I've just recently moved into a youth pastor position, and so this book was a perfect book for me to kind of jump into again, remind myself of some of the things that I know, take the good from this book that I like, read some real life examples, things like that. But this is a great book if you're thinking about youth ministry, if you want to get into youth ministry, even if you're just a volunteer in youth ministry, this book can really be a good book for that. So I enjoyed getting through this book again, and I read most of it. I kind of perused some parts of it though. All right, I also read The Push by Ashley Audrain. This book, I'm still a little torn on. I said this in my review of it, which I'll link there. It's a tough book in that there were times when I was like, man, I want to put this book down because it's so emotionally heavy. But also it was written so well. It may be one of the best written books I've ever read, like top 10. Like, it's just really well written for what it was. It's interesting, it's unique, but it's really hard. It's got a lot of trigger warnings for emotional stuff. Not a lot with physical abuse, but just some weird emotional stuff that was like surprisingly heavy, especially as a parent. So yeah, this is a good book. I recommend it for the right people who want to read something interesting and good, but I'd be really aware of the trigger warnings in this book. All right, and then lastly, I read a book called Dear God, Honest Prayers to a God Who Listens. Honest Prayers to a God Who Listens. I think that's right. And this one is by Bumi Laditan. This book was a pretty short read. I really recommend this book. This is just does such a good job of, I don't know, showing what God really wants our communication with him to look like. It's not these perfect obedient prayers, but it's a lot of questions and doubting and, hey Lord, he wants us to be real with him. And these prayers were perfect. They were really, really great. They were, I don't know, really, what is that word I'm looking for? Word that means see through it. Transparent, maybe? They were like transparent. The prayers were into her life. That's not quite the word I'm looking for, but it's close enough. I really liked Dear God. It was an amazing book, really quick read, and it's something I think I'll pick up again in the future and read through more. Some things coming up in February. I've already read Centered by Jason Brown, really excellent book. I think the review might be up already. It's releasing on Tuesday the 9th, February 9th, so make sure you pick that book up. It's really, really good, from an ex-NFL star, why he left the NFL to go be a farmer. It's because God told him. Interesting book for sure. I definitely recommend it. I also read Four Winds, which was another hard novel for different reasons than The Push, but I recommend that as well. It came out on the 2nd, so you can already go see that review here, or you can run and go pick up the book if you're interested. A great historical novel based in the Dust Bowl era. Harry Met Minnie is already out as well for February. A wonderful pet memoir. Can you say those words together? Wonderful and pet memoir. This one is. It's really well done. I mentioned the Pegan Diet already. I read it in January, but it's coming out in a few weeks, so if you make sure you go pick that up. My review will come out just a few days before the book does on the 23rd. Currently, I'm reading a book called Send For Me. It has already come out. I'll be posting a review in a few days. It's a World War II memoir, so that's something to look out for as well. Lastly, for February, Bill Gates has got a book coming out. I'm definitely going to be reading it and giving a review for that as well. Let me know if there's anything else coming up that you want me to review. And I guess that's it for this month's wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll have some affiliate links in the description if you're interested in picking any of these books up. And as always, stay safe out there.